Alright, hello everybody, and today we'll be taking a look at Xiaomi's new flagship, the Mi 5. Hello everybody, this is the Xiaomi Mi 5. It's possibly one of the cheapest Snapdragon 820 phones out there in the market. Now, although this may be one of the cheapest Snapdragon 820 phones out there, its price range isn't exactly in the cheap range because this will cost around $500 depending on which model you get. This is the 64GB white version. This is not the Pro version, just the normal version. The Pro version comes in 128GB. Now, this comes in 4 colors, and in cases such as the iPhone, the white version is actually sold at a slightly higher price by retailers compared to the black version. However, for the Mi 5 here in Malaysia, it's a completely different case. The black version is currently selling for 100 ringgit more than the white version, so I have no idea what happened there. Taking a look at the build of the phone itself, it has a very premium build. This is Xiaomi's new flagship phone after all, and it definitely has a flagship grade build. Now, the front and back of the phone is both Corning Gorilla Glass 4, so the back is nice and glossy. It can be a bit slippery at times when you put it on hard surfaces, so you might want to get a TPU case to go with it. The side trimmings are all metal. It's a very nice sort of a brushed metal finish. It's not exactly glossy, but it does have a very premium look to it. It has very nice, beautifully curved edges. On the front, we have a 5.15-inch IPS LCD screen. Now, it's Full HD. Some people might be disappointed that it's not 4K. However, for me, a screen of this size, Full HD is probably already more than enough. The pixel density is already excellent. You won't have any issues with reading fine text whatsoever. The screen is also very bright. Visibility under direct sunlight is alright. It's not excellent, but the visibility is still above average compared to other phones. The screen is also supposed to be bezel-less on the left and right edges. However, you will notice there is a very tiny black gap between the edge of the phone and the screen. However, it does look very nice and clean. The black edge isn't exactly noticeable unless you have a completely white background. Now, something new Xiaomi's done with the Mi 5 is that the home button is now replaced with a physical ceramic home button. The back and option buttons still remain as capacitive buttons, but they have lost their icons and they are now just replaced by 2 white dots. Now, although the home button is a physical button that you can actually press in for it to work, it's also a touch-sensitive button. That means you don't actually have to press it all the way in. You can just touch the home button and it will return you to the home screen. It's also a fingerprint sensor. However, I will talk more about the fingerprint sensor later on. The dual nano SIM tray is located on the left edge of the phone. It takes in 2 nano SIMs. Unfortunately, this cannot be used as memory expansion slots, such as the case for the Redmi Note 3. So unfortunately, the capacity of this phone is non-expandable. It is fixed. On the right side, you have the typical volume rocker and also the lock-unlock button or the power button. And on the top of the phone, we have the headphone jack and also an IR blaster that was there on the Mi 4 as well. Now, the USB port on the bottom of the phone is no longer a micro USB. It's now being replaced with a USB Type-C, which is good moving forward. However, I did have to change out all my power bank and charging cables because of this USB Type-C, but it's definitely moving forward. There's 2 separate grills. One grill is for the speaker and one grill is for the microphone. All in all, the phone has a very nice and premium build to it. It feels very comfortable in the hands. It's slightly curved outwards towards the edges on the back of the phone, so it sits in your hand very nicely. In terms of performance, this is a very powerful phone. It does have the latest Snapdragon processor up to date, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. It's clocked at 2.15 GHz and it's quad-core. This one has 3 GB of RAM. Memory is non-expandable. I ran Antutu benchmark on this and it got a very decent score of upwards of 132K, which is an excellent score. All in all, this is a very smooth and responsive phone. It is a very powerful phone. However, there will still be instances of lag, as with any Android phone. For example, when you want to launch WhatsApp by tapping on a WhatsApp notification directly from the lock screen, it can take a while before you get into the app. However, the performance is still definitely worthy of the flagship title. This is running MIUI 7 on top of Android's Marshmallow. This is also equipped with many features you would expect to see on a flagship smartphone. For example, it has NFC, LTE, it even has VoLTE, voice over LTE, which isn't available in Malaysian networks yet, hopefully coming soon. And it does have Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0, and trust me, I had a really hard time finding a Quick Charge 3.0 charger because it doesn't come with the phone. In terms of battery life, this has a 3000 mAh battery. It's not actually excellent. I was able to finish the battery under heavy use in about half a day, so I do need to charge it on average 2 times a day, so the battery life is going to be something you have to work with. Now the speaker on the Mi 5 is loud. Now it's actually fine at low to medium volumes, however when you do get into the higher volumes or even the maximum volume, it does tend to distort a bit. I'll play you a sample. And the IR blaster, it's definitely nice to have. Unlike some features on phones that are actually gimmicks, the IR blaster could be something you potentially use on a day-to-day basis. And apart from that, it does seem like you have some sort of superpower when your friends find out you can actually turn on the AC using your smartphone. However, to use the IR blaster, you will need an app to go with it. Personally, I'm using the Mi Remote app myself. Now, the home button, which also functions as a fingerprint sensor, is a very small sensor. The home button is actually smaller than the Samsung Galaxy S phones. And it's a very fast fingerprint sensor. It can recognize up to 5 different fingerprint profiles, and I compared it head-to-head with my friend's iPhone 6, and the Mi 5's fingerprint sensor is actually faster than the Touch ID of the iPhone 6. The sensor is very responsive. All you have to do is place your finger right on the sensor and it recognizes it right away. Sometimes I was able to virtually skip the lock screen altogether when I'm unlocking the phone by pressing the home button with my finger because it recognizes my fingerprint so quick. Now the camera on this phone, the Mi 5 has received an upgraded camera over the previous models. Now this is still not the best smartphone camera out there on the market, but it's definitely pretty impressive and it's good enough for me. Now the rear camera is 14 megapixels and the front camera is 4 megapixels. Both cameras are pretty good. The images that come out of it are very sharp. Now the rear camera has a 4-axis optical image stabilizer, which I find very impressive. I compared it to the Xiaomi Mi 3, which doesn't have an OIS on its camera, and I wiggled both the phones around, and as you can see, the Mi 5 has a much more steady image than the Mi 3, which does not have OIS. So the OIS is definitely something great to have for taking images and also video as well. It also smooths out your video very well. It has a dual LED flash for the rear camera, and the dynamic range of it is also pretty good, definitely better than the previous Xiaomi phones. This can record 4K video up to 30 FPS, and if you record at 720p, you can even do 120 FPS slow motion. So all in all, this is pretty much it about the Xiaomi Mi 5, Xiaomi's new flagship. A phone definitely worthy of the flagship title, and it's also coming at a very competitive price, especially if you're comparing it to the other major brands which are offering about the same specifications. So this is a very enjoyable phone to use with plenty of features, coming at a great price point and with very good performance. So that's pretty much it for today, everybody. So if you have any questions about the Mi 5, feel free to post them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. You can follow me on Instagram at Zara Productions. You can also join my Facebook group at facebook.com/ZaraProductions. So that's pretty much it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.